Steve McQueen was known for his cool persona and unmatched talent. But behind the scenes, his relationship with Paul Newman wasn't as smooth. Despite sharing a love for racing, they couldn't stand being in the same spotlight. When it came to working together again, McQueen made it clear he wouldn't. This wasn't just a Hollywood rivalry, it was personal. But why? Why did McQueen refuse to work with Newman again? Let's explore the hidden truth behind their famous feud. Early life. Steve McQueen's early years were far from easy. Born on March 24, 1930, in Beech Grove, Indiana, he grew up without the presence of a father. His dad, William McQueen, was a stunt pilot who left soon after Steve was born. Financial struggles followed, and Steve's mother, unable to care for him, sent him to live with his grandparents in Missouri. His formative years lacked stability, and it was his grandmother who played a significant role in raising him. School was never easy for Steve. He had dyslexia and a condition called auditory hyperesthesia, which made learning tough. As a result, he became restless and often found himself getting into trouble. By the time he was 12, his rebellious behavior became too much for his grandparents to handle. He briefly lived with his mother in Los Angeles, but conflicts with his stepfather led him further down a troubled path of gang involvement and petty crime. Realizing her son needed more guidance, Steve's mother made the difficult decision to send him to Chino's California Junior Boy Republic, a reform school for troubled boys. At first, Steve resisted the strict discipline, but gradually he began to appreciate the structure. The Boy Republic gave him a sense of purpose and taught him the value of hard work, responsibility, and self-respect. Steve would later credit the school with saving his life, often returning to donate and show his gratitude. After leaving the reform school, Steve joined the Marine Corps in 1947, where his rebellious spirit continued. He faced demotions and even spent time in the brig, but like his time at Chino, the military eventually shaped him. He channeled his defiance into more positive outlets, gaining respect and eventually earning promotions. He was honorably discharged in 1950. Once out of the Marines, Steve took on a variety of odd jobs to make ends meet. During this time, he discovered acting, not just as a way to earn money, but as a way to work through the pain of his past. Using the GI Bill, Steve enrolled in the prestigious neighborhood playhouse in New York City, studying under the guidance of Sanford Meisner. It was here that he began to develop the skills that would later launch him to stardom. Rise to stardom. Steve McQueen's journey into the heart of New York's theater world was driven by a relentless desire to master his craft. He immersed himself in the teachings at the neighborhood playhouse, refining the techniques and skills that would eventually define his style. But it wasn't just the formal training that set him apart. It was his raw, genuine presence on stage that caught the eye of both audiences and industry insiders alike. McQueen's big break came in 1955 when he landed a role in the play A Hatful of Rain. Although his part was small, it was enough to make people take notice. The performance opened doors, leading to more roles on stage and eventually in television. Early TV appearances allowed McQueen to showcase his unique ability to convey deep emotion with little dialogue, relying on his powerful eyes and body language to communicate his character's inner life. The defining moment in McQueen's career came in 1958, when he was cast as Josh Randall, a bounty hunter in the TV series Wanted, Dead or Alive. The show was an instant hit, and McQueen's portrayal of Randall, a tough, principled man, resonated with viewers, solidifying his status as an emerging star. His performance in the role over 3 seasons made him a household name. Shifting from TV to film wasn't easy, but McQueen's timing was impeccable. That same year, he starred in The Blob, a sci-fi horror flick that, while not a critical success, was a box office hit and introduced McQueen to a wider audience. But it was in the early 1960s that McQueen truly began to rise in Hollywood. His role in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, a Western inspired by Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, showcased his growing skill as an actor. Even among a talented ensemble cast, McQueen stood out. His portrayal of Vin Tanner struck the perfect balance between toughness and vulnerability, making a lasting impression. In 1963, McQueen's star power skyrocketed with The Great Escape. Based on the true story of Allied POWs escaping from a German camp during World War II, the film cemented McQueen as a leading man. His portrayal of Captain Virgil Hiltz, nicknamed the Cooler King, blended his natural rebellious edge with the role's heroism. One of the most iconic moments in the film, a daring motorcycle escape, was not only a nod to McQueen's love of racing and stunts, but also helped solidify his status as a Hollywood legend. Iconic roles. Steve McQueen's rise in Hollywood was nothing short of explosive, but it wasn't just his swift ascent that made him a legend. It was the way he approached each role. His characters were always layered with complexity, allowing McQueen to pour his own experiences and raw talent into every performance. In The Magnificent Seven, McQueen embodied Vin Tanner, a drifter with a strong moral code. Though he shared the screen with big names like Yul Brynner, McQueen's subtle touches, like his tilted hat or signature smirk, gave Tanner a distinct presence. Even though McQueen wasn't the film's lead, he had a unique ability to make any role feel crucial, capturing attention with his understated performance. Another milestone came in The Great Escape, where McQueen played Captain Virgil Hiltz, known as the Cooler King. The role perfectly matched McQueen's rebellious spirit and his love for clever, understated humor. One of the most unforgettable moments in the film is the daring motorcycle escape, where Hiltz tries to leap a barbed wire fence. It's a scene that has become iconic, a testament to McQueen's knack for blending action with personality. McQueen's personal commitment to performing his own stunts blurred the line between actor and character. In Bullitt, he took on the role of Lieutenant Frank Bullitt, a cool-headed cop with a passion for high-speed thrills. The film's legendary car chase through the steep streets of San Francisco became a blueprint for future action sequences. Bullitt, with his sharp turtleneck and sleek Mustang, embodied the cool vibe of the 1960s, and McQueen brought an authenticity to the role that made him more than just a typical action hero. In The Thomas Crown Affair, McQueen took on a completely different character. Thomas Crown, a suave and calculating millionaire who plays a dangerous game of cat and mouse with an insurance investigator, played by Faye Dunaway. This role highlighted McQueen's range as he moved into the realm of sophistication and psychological depth. His portrayal of Crown was both charming and vulnerable, a man who had everything but still craved the thrill of the chase. Le Mans, 1971, was another film close to McQueen's heart. Set in the world of endurance racing, a sport McQueen was passionate about, the film is known for its raw authenticity. McQueen was determined to use real race footage, often driving the cars himself, making the lines between documentary and fiction blur. This commitment to realism brought audiences into the intense world of racing, capturing the grueling nature of the 24-hour race at Le Mans. McQueen and Paul Newman. Beyond the camera, McQueen's rivalry with Paul Newman became one of Hollywood's most infamous feuds. The tension, particularly McQueen's jealousy of Newman, wasn't confined to the set. It spilled over into the world of motorsports, with both actors competing in races. While Newman approached racing with a calm, calculated focus, McQueen had a natural talent that fueled his frustration as he realized Newman was a fierce competitor. Despite their shared passion for the sport, the two never raced against each other head-to-head, leaving the question of who was the better driver a mystery that persists to this day. In all these roles, McQueen didn't just play characters, he made them unforgettable. His ability to combine action with emotion, toughness with vulnerability, cemented his place as one of Hollywood's greatest stars. The tension between Steve McQueen and Paul Newman reached a boiling point when they were both offered the chance to star in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. McQueen, unable to stomach the idea of sharing top billing with Newman, who was the bigger star at the time, turned the opportunity down. This decision would haunt his career, as he missed out on one of Hollywood's most iconic collaborations. And it only deepened the rivalry between the two men. Their ongoing feud came to a head during the production of The Towering Inferno, the only film in which they shared the screen. The competition between them was palpable throughout the entire shoot. Based on the novels The Tower by Sterling Sant and The Glass Inferno by Richard Martin Stern, the film's plot revolves around a catastrophic fire that threatens the lives of everyone trapped inside a skyscraper. While the movie itself was a major hit, earning a Best Picture nomination and multiple awards, it was the behind-the-scenes drama between McQueen and Newman that made the production particularly memorable. The film's success masked the simmering rivalry between these two Hollywood legends. As they both vied for dominance on screen, the set became a battleground of egos. McQueen, known for his unyielding desire to be the center of attention, frequently found himself in a tug-of-war with Newman over who could claim the bigger spotlight. One of the most telling moments came when McQueen, feeling slighted by his lack of screen time, reportedly asked screenwriter Sterling Sant to add 12 more lines for his character to ensure he had as many as Newman. This petty power struggle created a tense atmosphere, with each actor trying to outshine the other, even in subtle ways. According to Noel Ayers, a close friend of Newman's, the animosity between the two men was obvious to those around them. Ayers recalled that Newman, frustrated by McQueen's constant complaints, once referred to him as a chicken. This moment encapsulated the level of frustration both actors felt toward one another, highlighting the deep-rooted issues that made their collaboration difficult. Their rivalry wasn't just professional, it was personal, and it added an extra layer of tension to their already intense on-screen performances. Despite their differences, The Towering Inferno went on to become a massive success. The film not only dazzled audiences, but also cemented the larger-than-life personas of both McQueen and Newman. However, the tension on set made it clear that working together wasn't as smooth as the finished product might suggest. Their rivalry, shaped by their need for dominance and their conflicting personalities, would continue to define their relationship for years to come. McQueen's feud with James Garner. James Garner, known for his easygoing and friendly persona in Hollywood, had a surprisingly blunt take on his co-star, Steve McQueen. Garner, who was more diplomatic in his public demeanor, didn't hold back when talking about McQueen's career and personal flaws. His assessment was direct, even critical, a stark contrast to the more reserved and subtle evaluations offered by Paul Newman. While Garner was beloved for his on-screen warmth, off-screen, his views on McQueen painted a different picture of their relationship. Their work together in The Great Escape revealed McQueen's trademark coolness as the rebellious and charismatic Hilts. However, behind the scenes, McQueen's behavior could be a source of frustration for his colleagues. Garner, who played the character of Hendley, was among the few willing to openly discuss his co-star's acting style. He didn't mince words, even going so far as to compare McQueen to Marlon Brando, not as an actor, but as a movie star. For Garner, McQueen's on-screen persona was more about carefully crafting an image of tough masculinity than about immersing himself in the characters he portrayed. Garner went further, asserting that McQueen's approach to acting was limited. He argued that the goal of a true actor is to disappear into a role, allowing the audience to forget they're watching a performer. McQueen, in Garner's eyes, often failed to do this. His distinctive tough guy persona was always present, no matter the character. This, Garner believed, was a significant flaw in McQueen's performances. But it wasn't just McQueen's acting style that created tension on set. His behavior during production was often a point of contention. During the making of The Great Escape, McQueen, dissatisfied with his role, threatened to walk off the set. Garner, always the mediator, stepped in to talk to McQueen and quickly realized that his frustration stemmed from feeling that his character lacked the heroic stature he craved. McQueen wanted more action, more prominence in the storyline. To address McQueen's concerns, the director made substantial changes to the script. McQueen's role was reworked to include thrilling motorcycle stunts and a more pivotal character arc, ultimately transforming Hiltz into a more daring and heroic figure. These changes made McQueen more satisfied with his part, and the production continued. Despite the tensions during filming, Garner and McQueen managed to maintain a friendship. Garner's ability to approach McQueen's stubbornness with patience and diplomacy helped keep the peace. Unlike McQueen, who was known for his tough and rebellious nature, Garner's relaxed and ego-free attitude allowed him to navigate these challenges with relative ease, preserving both their professional and personal relationship. McQueen and Yul Brynner. The on-set dynamic between Steve McQueen and Yul Brynner was anything but smooth. Brynner, already a Hollywood legend, had ruled the screen throughout the 50s and 60s with iconic roles in films like The King and I and The Ten Commandments. At the peak of his career, he was an established powerhouse. But McQueen, a rising star with a reputation for pushing boundaries, brought a rebellious energy that clashed with Brynner's status. Their conflict came to a head during the 1960 production of The Magnificent Seven, a legendary Western. Brynner, used to being the center of attention, didn't take kindly to McQueen's attempts to steal the spotlight in their shared scenes. McQueen, eager to assert his presence, would often take liberties to draw the camera's focus away from Brynner, creating a tense, competitive atmosphere on set. Brynner, determined to maintain control, went so far as to forbid McQueen from making any unscripted moves. But McQueen, true to form, wasn't easily controlled and continued to make bold choices that disrupted Brynner's sense of authority. The battle for dominance became a defining aspect of the film's production. Brynner, the seasoned pro, was determined to hold on to his lead role, while McQueen, known for his rebellious streak, viewed these restrictions as a challenge to be overcome. His refusal to follow Brynner's lead added an unpredictable edge to every scene, escalating the tension between them. The situation worsened when McQueen discovered that his character only had 7 lines in the original script. Upset by the lack of screen time, he voiced his frustrations to director John Sturges. In response, Sturges granted McQueen more input behind the scenes, allowing him some creative control. Unfortunately, McQueen's newfound influence was used to further upstage Brynner. McQueen's antics became more disruptive as he sought attention. He would often flip a coin or rattle shotgun shells during Brynner's speeches, diverting the camera's focus away from the veteran actor. At one point, McQueen even kicked away the mound of dirt Brynner had placed to make himself appear taller in a scene. The playful pranks soon escalated into something more serious, and tensions reached a boiling point when Brynner, in frustration, grabbed McQueen in a moment of anger. This altercation turned their off-screen animosity into a public spectacle. In later years, McQueen didn't shy away from discussing the conflict. Reflecting on their fraught relationship, he bluntly admitted, "We didn't get along." He speculated that Brynner might have felt threatened by his own talents, particularly his skills with horses and firearms. This sense of insecurity added a layer of complexity to their already tense dynamic, shedding light on what fueled their rivalry and making it clear that the clashes were more than just professional. They were personal. Jealousy and rivalry with Robert Vaughn. The working relationship between Steve McQueen and Yul Brynner was a constant battle of wills. McQueen, with his rebellious energy, and Brynner, with his disciplined, commanding approach, couldn't have been more different in their methods. This clash of personalities strained their already tense dynamic, creating an environment thick with competition and simmering resentment. Robert Vaughn, who worked alongside them in The Magnificent Seven, offered a glimpse into the underlying tension. He noted that McQueen's jealousy went beyond simple rivalry. He even became envious of Brynner's character's gun, which became a symbolic battleground. For McQueen, it wasn't just about being a success. It was about being the only success. This drove his relentless need to overshadow everyone else, including Brynner. Their competition wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. The set became a cauldron of egos, with both actors vying for the spotlight, each determined to outshine the other. The resulting tension created an atmosphere of unease, both on and off screen. While their chemistry as co-stars helped craft a beloved Western, the behind-the-scenes friction became as famous as the film itself. Their inability to find common ground left an indelible mark on Hollywood history, overshadowing their individual legacies in the process. 5 years later, McQueen would find himself in another heated partnership, this time with director Sam Peckinpah on the 1965 film Junior Bonner. The film told the story of a rodeo cowboy returning home, but the production was anything but smooth. From the start, McQueen and Peckinpah clashed. McQueen, frustrated with Peckinpah's precise, slow-paced methods, voiced his discontent. On the other hand, Peckinpah found McQueen's tendency to improvise and alter scripts without approval infuriating. The tension reached its peak during the film's climactic scene, where McQueen's character is thrown off a bull. McQueen, insistent on doing his own stunt work, clashed with Peckinpah over the execution. The two argued for hours, and eventually, McQueen stormed off the set in a fit of anger. Peckinpah, fed up, fired McQueen. Though McQueen returned after the studio intervened, the damage had been done. The studio had to step in to make peace, but the rift between them remained, tainting their collaboration. This tumultuous partnership between McQueen and Peckinpah was another example of the actor's intense nature clashing with those around him. Like with Brynner, McQueen's pursuit of control and perfection led to a legacy of strained professional relationships. The working dynamics may have made for great drama, but they also ensured that the stories behind the scenes were often more explosive than the films themselves. McQueen and Charles Bronson. Steve McQueen's career was defined by his magnetic presence on screen, but off-screen, it was often marked by friction with his fellow actors. One of his most infamous feuds occurred during the making of The Magnificent Seven in 1960, where tensions with co-star Charles Bronson flared into a rivalry that would go down in Hollywood history. On set, McQueen's behavior was a source of constant disruption. His habitual tardiness and tendency to stray from the script were constant points of contention. His rebellious, sometimes defiant attitude towards authority only added fuel to the fire. McQueen's disregard for the usual norms of professionalism made him a difficult co-star to work with, and it created a tense atmosphere that overshadowed the film's production. In stark contrast, Charles Bronson was known for his discipline and commitment to his craft. He took his job seriously and expected nothing less from those around him. McQueen's casual approach to his role and his seeming lack of respect for the team rubbed Bronson the wrong way. Bronson found McQueen's behavior not only unprofessional, but personally insulting, adding another layer to their already strained relationship. The rift between them wasn't just confined to the set. It lingered long after filming wrapped. In a 1977 interview, Bronson didn't hold back, calling McQueen the most unprofessional actor he had ever worked with. He went on to describe McQueen as annoying, and made it clear that he had no interest in ever working with him again. McQueen and director John Sturges. One of his most complicated relationships was with John Sturges, the mastermind behind two of McQueen's most memorable films, The Magnificent Seven and The Great Escape. Their working relationship was anything but smooth, filled with creative differences and growing frustration. While filming The Magnificent Seven, McQueen grew increasingly frustrated with the amount of screen time his character received. Sturges, known for his methodical approach and attention to detail, clashed with McQueen's desire for more prominent on-screen presence. Their disagreements reached a boiling point, and McQueen famously walked off the set for a brief period. This wasn't an isolated incident. Similar tensions resurfaced during the making of The Great Escape. McQueen voiced dissatisfaction with the script and openly disagreed with Sturges's vision for the film. There were also rumors that McQueen was resentful of the attention his co-star, James Garner, was getting, which only added to the drama. Despite these issues, McQueen and Sturges managed to create two enduring classics, but their relationship never fully recovered. After The Great Escape, they decided not to work together again, signaling the end of their professional collaboration. What fueled these ongoing clashes is difficult to pinpoint. McQueen, a perfectionist with a rebellious streak, often had high expectations, not just for himself, but for those he worked with. His tendency to challenge authority and his desire for creative control likely put him at odds with Sturges, who was known for his own firm approach. McQueen's complexities, his inner drive, perfectionism, and anti-authoritarian attitude made collaborations like these challenging. Even after McQueen faced harsh criticism from co-star Charles Bronson in 1977, he opted not to engage publicly. But it was clear that the animosity between McQueen and his directors, including Sturges, was deeply entrenched. This tension lingered, casting a shadow over their collaborations and shaping McQueen's career in Hollywood. McQueen's Hollywood legacy. Steve McQueen, despite being a beloved figure to fans, was often at odds with his Hollywood peers. His larger-than-life persona and commitment to the tough guy image set him apart from others, but also fueled conflicts behind the scenes. While audiences adored his on-screen presence, his interactions with fellow actors were frequently complicated, especially during iconic projects like The Magnificent Seven and The Great Escape. McQueen's legacy, often defined by his powerful performances, is just as much about the friction that simmered beneath the surface of his Hollywood career. One of the most persistent issues McQueen faced was his constant evolution into the hero of every film. This became particularly evident during the making of The Great Escape. Disagreements over how his character should be portrayed caused disruptions on set, leading to talk of possibly reshuffling the entire film. McQueen, not content to simply play his part, often insisted on altering roles to fit his own vision, which created a tense atmosphere among the cast and crew. His actions, from temper tantrums to last-minute rewrites, made the work environment difficult for those around him. Despite his popularity, McQueen's relationships with colleagues were far from simple, marked by creative clashes and competing visions. This behind-the-scenes drama paints a picture of a man who, while a giant on screen, had a complicated, sometimes turbulent, existence off it. It reveals a different side of Hollywood's golden era, where stars were often as difficult to work with as they were to forget. McQueen's professional life wasn't just about performances. It was about navigating a world of rivalries, power struggles, and constant reinvention. Even after his death in 1980, McQueen's life remained embroiled in controversy. His image and estate became highly sought-after commodities, leading to legal disputes over the unauthorized use of his likeness. Family feuds also emerged as his heirs tried to balance preserving McQueen's legacy with the financial opportunities his name still afforded. Despite these challenges, McQueen's estate worked hard to control his narrative, ensuring his legacy was celebrated while keeping tight reins on how his image was used. From documentaries to product endorsements, his name continued to generate interest, and his heirs fought to ensure it remained on their terms.